Man, good morning, everyone. How y'all doing, man? It's your boy, Martez Rafael Kirkland, and this is James Dale Merchant, man. And welcome to Real Talk with MRK, baby. Coffee in the morning. And I hope you guys got your coffee. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful time watching all the games, the Super Bowl. I'm not the Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship, the AFC games and everything. And they were a treat. They were a treat, especially if your team won. But especially if your team won, man. But hey, my team lost the Lions. We definitely gonna talk about that a little bit later and everything. I am a Lions fan, core to the core. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I thought we was going to the Super Bowl for the first time in team history, but we didn't. But we'll be back next year. Man, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into this show right here. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with MRK and guest host James Dale Merchant. All right, hey, first thing of business is the morning inspiration. All right, so if you don't know what the morning inspiration is, the morning inspiration is where I select a group, an individual, or something that I am inspired by. So as you can see, the morning inspiration is the armed forces. And as you guys probably keep up with the news and the headlines of what's going on in the world, we had three armed force members that gave their life for this country. They got killed over in Jordan by an Iranian drone, unfortunately. And I definitely want to dedicate my inspiration to all the armed forces out there, service members abroad, serving this country, putting their life on the line.
Yeah, we salute you.
We definitely give you much salute each and every day, and we definitely respect what you do because we was once you. Myself and James are retirees of the United States Army. I've done 24 years, and he done 22 years. So, hey, there's a lot of experience and a lot of time that we've given to the United States and to this country in order for you guys to have your freedoms and to be able to do the things that you do. We appreciate these armed forces and these soldiers, sailormen, Marines, airmen, and everything that they do. If you guys don't understand the armed forces, and maybe you disagree, there's some people out there now that they disagree. And we understand it. Guess what? We fight for your right to do that, to be able to disagree. We have done, and they do a lot each and every day. In the Army, we say, we do more than what people do before you wake up by the time 9 o'clock.
By 9 o'clock, we did more.
Yeah, we already done more. Man. We waking up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting up and doing physical fitness to keep our body and mind, trained and ready for the rigorous, occupation that we do. Yeah. Myself, man, I've been abroad many times overseas. I've served my country in conflict and wars. I've been away from my family. And that puts a lot of strain on families, puts a lot of stress on the soldier, the sailor, the airman, the Marine. And it's sometimes it becomes stressful. It becomes hard to deal with, but we do it. And the armed forces, they do it. This is the things that they do. We go to training. We are away from our families for months at a time. We are in conditions that a normal person probably wouldn't want to be in. Guaranteed wouldn't want to be in. I'm talking about heat, desert, cold, snow, rain, mud.
You name
it. We are in. And I just want to say I salute each and every one of you armed force members, and we thank you. And I'm so inspired by what you do because I was once you. What about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, just as we talking, I mean, there's not a lot to really add because I think I feel the same way, man. I think this only thing I can really say as far as just kind of as we kind of take some time and just reflect on what soldiers do. There's always a quote from a movie that I liked, and it was from the movie Gladiator, and it was where there was a scene where one of the leaders or whatever basically looked at him at the main character of the movie or whatever, and I just remember the quote. And he just told him, he was like, because he was basically like, he said, no one cares about soldiers until the enemy's at the gates. And I thought that was, I thought that was quite profound because it kind of highlights, soldiers and what they do. It's like no one really knows or can understand that, and that's okay. But at the same time, it's kind of like these are sort of like these are figures on the board, if you will, that help keep the lights on. You know what I mean? Whether we realize it or not. So that's just one of the things I think about. Kind of an undervalued asset. But
absolutely, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, like Martez said, that's kind of what soldiers do, is that they make that sacrifice so we can have a country that people can disagree, people can have freedom of speech and all that stuff. That's kind of the whole point. So it's just a thought. It might not change everybody's mind, but hey, it's just something to think about.
It's okay if you have a different opinion.
It is.
It is definitely your right. So again, that is our morning inspiration. The All Forces, thank you, and we are so inspired by you. Keep doing what you do, and let's go ahead and we're gonna move on to the current events. Current events. So what we do with the current events, man, we talk about sports, politics, and entertainment. What goes on in the sports and politics, entertainment world. And everybody know yesterday was the NFC and AFC game. So we definitely gonna talk about some football. And I'm a Lions fan, so I'm gonna talk about the Lions, talk about the 49ers, man. Hey, I'm not gonna be such a solo. Congratulations, 49ers going to another Super Bowl. Hey, let us get one. I was like, let us get one. So everybody, if you watch the game for the 49ers and the Lions game, the Lions came out smoking. They came out looking like a team that could not be stopped in the first half of the game. But if you know, basketball, football is a game of halves. Two halves.
Yeah.
Right. And the Lions had the first half, man. They went up about 17 points. they ended up with 24, I believe. Was it 24 points in the first half going into the second half? And I thought we was going to the Super Bowl. I'm in my house. I'm jumping up and down, just me and my daughter, acting crazy, going wild, just like a fanatic fan, thinking that the Lions was going to be in their first Super Bowl ever in franchise history. They are, the Lions are Detroit Lions are one of the oldest NFL teams, which is kind of embarrassing that we ain't been to a Super Bowl yet. But we almost got there. We had a great season. Definitely had a great season. I think we finished third, got the third seed in the NFC. We should have probably finished second. We easily could have finished first if some games would have actually dropped. And we would have actually got some games and it went our way. Especially that Dallas game. The Dallas game. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That Dallas game. We should have had that. I don't like Dallas Cowboys. Every year,
nobody does.
Because you know what? Every year they talk about like they're Super Bowl contenders and they're going to win. They have been every year they come into the season saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl for the last 30 years since they won the last one with Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
They're no better than my Lions. The only difference is they just got a head start and got like 3 Super Bowls. That's the only difference. But congratulations to the 49ers getting past the Detroit Lions. We will be back next year.
Yeah,
we'll be back next year, man. I know you ain't that versed in like football, but hey.
But it's still good to hear the whole competition aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel with basketball. Obviously, I'm sitting up here with a basketball hat in the middle.
You got the San Antonio Spurs, my man from Texas.
Yep, born and raised.
Texas boy, man. Hey, so you know, I love Detroit. Yes, I love Michigan. We got a national championship, so I can't be greedy, right?
Indeed.
Michigan won national college football championship, so I can't be greedy. That's big, right? So in I put it on my Facebook. I made a comment. I said, so Michigan won the national championship in football, and the Detroit Lions was one of the Final 4 teams in the NFL and was 3 points from going to the Super Bowl. What does that put them? We are king and we own football this year. That's what I think. So, hey, even though we didn't get there to win the Super Bowl, if you put that together, Detroit Lions and Michigan, we on top of the football world, man. Y'all can't stop us this year, man. But so we're not gonna forget about the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs games. I watched that game. Baltimore, come on, y'all was my pick. What happened? They didn't do so good.
Nah, they
Lamar
didn't.
Jackson, man, all his athleticism and speed and, him as a player and everything. He's most likely going to be the MVP, two-time MVP for this year. And you didn't get the job done, man. You didn't get the job done. Patrick Mahomes outplayed you again. And the Kansas City Chiefs is back in the Super Bowl
again.
Again. Hey, some people getting tired of seeing them. I think I'm getting stopped. Hey, but check this out. This is why I was so high on Detroit. They would have won. Detroit, the first game of the season, you know who they beat? You want to guess? They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So think about it, man. We had them in the mental. We beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't know.
It was there for us to take it. It was there for us to take it. But God didn't, God didn't want us to get it yet. I guess the powers to be. He said, hey, maybe next year. But again, congratulations, 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, and the Lions. We're gonna see y'all next year, man. So that's for the world of sports and everything. Probably tomorrow I'll talk about some basketball.
Yeah,
we'll talk about some basketball, right?
That works.
So politics. You like politics?
I really don't, but go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, it's there.
I don't know. Maybe,
I was something interesting.
Maybe we need to check this part out. I don't like politics either. The only reason why,
but they do.
You're right. You're right.
They do.
Why do y'all like politics? Politicians are nothing but liars. It is what it is, man. I got to get this agenda out. I got to say whatever I need to say for you to vote for me.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Let me stop.
Yeah, trust me. There's a lot I could say. However,
I'm gonna say it, man. It's real talk, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean,
honestly,
I will just do this. I will echo because there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of layers to this comment, but as crazy as this one individual is, I'm about to quote. Kanye West once said something, and right, and that's already setting the stage. But I'm telling you right now, he's right. When he came out and he said, "Hey, look, America is for sale." Just think about that. He was like, "This nation is a nation that is for sale," and that's nothing. And that's not me. That's not me trying to downgrade our nation. Hey, listen, if I had to be reborn and somehow had the ability to pick where I was going to live, I would obviously definitely pick the United States. But it's just to say, no country doesn't have, all countries have their issues, and that's just something to think about.
Oh yeah, we definitely got issues.
We got our issues, and all the other ones do too, because we both been around and saw the politics on other countries. But I'm just telling you, just think about that. Don't just think about it. America is for sale.
For sale.
That is a massive comment. So and that's what I'm saying. I can expound on that, but
don't be you can if you want to, man.
Yeah. Well, I felt like you wanted to bring up a topic.
Well, I was going to bring up.
Go ahead.
I was going to bring up your man, your boys, some of your partner in crime, old Donald Trump.
Old Donald Trump.
Is it Donald T. Trump? What's his middle name?
Donald Trump.
He's trying to run for president again. I ain't gonna lie, I don't really care for him, but hey, I stated on my last podcast episode we talked about I am not affiliated with Republican or Democrat or Independent or Green Party. I don't affiliate myself with any of them. All I do is vote for who I feel in my heart that can lead the country the best. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't come out like only Democrat because you're like, well, you're black, but back in the day, blacks voted for Republicans, right? Yeah. Y'all forget that.
Yeah.
So I try to listen to the man or the woman, and see what they're saying, and understand this. They are politicians. What we're talking about.
Every one of them.
All politicians. They have an agenda.
Yep.
They have a rhetoric that they have to speak on, and they're going to say what they need to say to get in office.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, in the news, I think yesterday the headline was he has to pay
like $80 million,
$83 million to the individual that accused him of sexual assault. That's a lot of money.
A whole lot.
And let me make sure I clear this up. I don't believe it's the whole 80 million. The other 80 million, because he was up on trial, or they was looking into him about his taxes too. Come on, we already knew that. If you didn't, we already knew that. We know a lot.
Rich people don't pay taxes.
Yeah, they don't pay taxes. There's so many different loopholes.
Yep.
And then, but let me kind of turn it back to the sexual assault case. He got found guilty of sexual assault, and this right here. This is where I'm taking it. We have an individual that used to be the president of the United States, that was voted in as the president of the United States by Americans, by the United States of America. Also, we have a former president that is running again for another term to be president of the United States. Like I said, I'm not pushing. If this was a Democrat, this is Joe Biden. We can talk about Joe Biden too. Oh, Joe Biden.
Oh, Joe.
Can't see and studying over his words and tripping over his feet. Oh, Joe. Donald Trump. There's so many people that follow that I can support him.
Yeah.
But understand this. I don't understand, how can you support someone that has gotten found guilty of sexual assault in a court of law? Still, people are going to say, well, it was an allegation in the courts, and whatever. We don't know if he did it or not. But why don't we? What is it? Why don't we give the same energy and the same treatment to the regular person off the street living in America that get convicted for a crime?
Oh, well, duh, like that. These people, there's a double standard, and when stuff like this happens, it shows that it's a double standard. That if whether I'm a president, an actor, or whoever, there's always going to be some loophole. Look at Alec Baldwin. This dude shot somebody in the middle of the woods, and he's walking around free as a jaybird. And now they're talking about, now he's back. They found more evidence. They're saying like, oh no, he did it for real. He got off. Yeah, he got off. And now they're like, no, we found new evidence. Like, what?
And
like,
I guarantee you, that was me and him.
Ching ching.
We locked up, and we try to appeal it. Appeals getting denied. Right. All that stuff. There's no question that there will be no question that we would be probably found guilty, man. It wouldn't be well, it was a mistake, and money. I guess money drives different outcomes.
America is for sale.
There you go. America for sale.
I keep saying it because and the only reason I'm not going deeper, man, is because it'll take us off track of what we're talking about now. Here's what I will say: if Donald Trump did what he did, and I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. Like, look, at one point I was a Trump supporter, but notice I said at one time, because I started realizing, like, again,
Jazzy G, what's going on?
It's all politics at the end of the day. There's always some agenda that's going to be pushed regardless. So I had to come back to where I always thought anyway, because the first time I actually voted, I voted for Barack Obama. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
First time that you voted?
That was the first time I had ever in my life
voted. How old are you? Wait a minute.
Right. That was the first time I had never voted.
So how old were you?
When my first ballot, let's see, Barack got no office, what, 2005? Four? No. 6 or 7, because I was in Louisiana. I was living in Louisiana at the time. So yeah, about 2007 or so is when he first got in. I remember going to the.
So let me guess, black man running the vote.
I'm gonna tell you all day. That was my agenda. I wanted to see a black president. Yeah. I'm just being real. That's what I wanted to see, and it happened.
Hey,
so
at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest. All blacks, maybe would have been that very small percentage, right? That didn't, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, Barack Obama, as long as he was the black person that was a nominee, he was the Democratic nominee or whatever, right? Black people were gonna vote, and I'm not saying I like Barack, man, but it didn't have to be Barack.
Dude, It could have been any. It could have been Mike Tyson. And I would like,
I want to see the black person in office. I'm gonna be. I want to see the black person walk around in the White House.
That was how my mind was thinking. Listen, I'm just telling you at that time, and that's just to show personal growth. But that was what my mindset was thinking, and kind of the key in what you were talking about, like when you asked a key question: how can people still support that guy? It's the same situation. They could have told me Barack Obama drove a car with kids in the trunk off a bridge at that point. Guess what? I would have still voted for him. Because at that time, all my mind wanted was my agenda to see I'm just being real, to see a black president in office. So I think the real question is, what are our motives behind? Because guess what? They got motives when they get in office. So what are our motives as a people? And yeah,
keep going, man.
That's a whole nother wrap-up bag because now y'all gonna say I'm a nerd because I'll start getting into like how a lot of people don't even know what the Constitution actually says and what it was built off of. If you do a quick class, and that's not
some people do because maybe that's why they don't stand for the
you know what,
the national anthem.
That is okay.
But
good point.
Now I stand for the national anthem because I serve.
Right.
I respect the individuals as my
do. No, that's funny though, but it's true. It's true
because I know why some don't stand.
And he's right because they do know the Constitution and they're right because it's freedom of speech.
And if you knew really when the national anthem, how it was written, the actual words that it said. You really wouldn't want to stand. But, things evolve. And some things can evolve from bad to good, right? And be changed. So I look at it like this. I stand because I've served for this country and I understand what it is to be abroad, to be serving and sacrificing myself and my life for you guys. So therefore, out of respect for the service members, that's the reason why I stand. And I do believe the ideal to be free for all people.
So that's a big kicker. So think of this real quick. Most most governmental documents, when I say governmental documents, meaning so for example, when I say a governmental document, so if you're a soldier, you have to swear an oath based off the Constitution. I want to say that slower. You're making an oath based off the Constitution. Now, here's what a lot of people a lot of folks don't really understand. The Constitution was actually written to protect the people, Americans, against tyranny. Meaning that, so here's something that you say when you take that swear, do your oath. When you join the military, you said, I will defend this country according to the Constitution. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. According to the Constitution, I will defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Ooh, wait, let's base on that domestic part real quick. The actual Constitution.
Whatever they decide to consider what the enemy is, foreignly and domestically.
There you go. You ever heard the term enemy of the state? That whole thing is in case, basically, we the people, as it says, if the government decided that they wanted to just have too much power, it's actually the responsibility of the people to actually form something and say, hey, you guys are doing too much. That's constitutional. That's constitutional. So I'm saying that to say, while we're out here picking and choosing who we want to lead us, think a little bit deeper and understand that while we're picking and choosing who's going to lead us, are we actually thinking that are we giving these people too much power? Because here's the thing. I see people right now fighting because they're a Democrat or a Republican. And I mean, these people are literally turning on each other. Yeah. Let me ask you something. Let me ask the audience, you guys, a question. While we're turning on each other down here at the people level, what are they doing?
They're like, yes, yeah.
They're getting rich.
They're getting richer and richer
and richer and richer and more powerful. So, hey, we said real talk, right? So that's just something to think about. Donald J, he's definitely, hey, and here's the thing, listen, if he done those things, hey, lock him up. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
Well, you know what?
But
I don't even care if he gets locked up. but what I do care, how can he still run for president of the United States? I always thought when I was young and
that disqualified him.
That should disqualify you. Like, as the president of the United States, shouldn't you have like your moral compass should be as higher than anyone in the United States?
It's supposed to, yeah.
But now I think he's moved that bar.
That bar has moved a long time ago, man.
Well, Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy. Like, I mean, come on now, let's be real.
I mean, even as much as I had respect for John F. Kennedy, it didn't stop the fact that him and Marilyn Monroe, he had his things going on.
Yeah, John F. Kennedy. I actually like John F. Kennedy.
A lot of
the reason why I think we like us blacks because of the time, almost like quote unquote Abraham Lincoln, right?
He was almost MLK before MLK because he was about equality.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead, break it down.
You know how the agendas, and he really wasn't.
I think
but because it was in favor of him to do so, as far as elections and the people and stuff. Like Abraham Lincoln, he really didn't free slaves. If he could have still got the Union and the United States still together and control of it, he probably wouldn't free slaves. It wasn't that he set up and consciously he was like, "This is wrong." You know,
there's been a lot of I haven't dug deep into it, but
it wasn't what you thought. How we celebrate him, he emancipated. No, he did it because it was more like a business deal.
I've heard that.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. So, but hey, I'm telling you, man. But we're gonna move on, man. We can go get deep.
Yeah, I'm just saying. This is one we can go like deep.
So we might get too real for y'all. Y'all might not be able to take
too real for the internet. Oh, I'm sorry.
Too real for the internet, right? So we gonna go to the world of entertainment. What do y'all want to talk about to the world of entertainment, man? When we talk about real talk, man. One thing that came across was let's talk about Oprah. Oprah Winfrey. I don't know why. Maybe because my mom watched Oprah Winfrey and I like, but I started as I got older. Was like, there's something mysterious about her. So what they're saying now is Oprah.
Think about it. No, I'm just. I was talking to the audience, but I was just like, think about it.
Is considered to be a gatekeeper. If you understand these gatekeepers in the entertainment world, right? Oprah is the individual, one of the individuals that lead people to Quincy Jones, Tyler Perry. You know, and if you know about these people, right? The alleged things that they say about them is, you know, to each his own. You know, Quincy Jones, he likes the same sex. So she leads certain people to him so he can open up the gate for them in return for favors. Just put that together. I actually like because, you know, Quincy Jones, you know, all, you know, the music and stuff like that.
The music, what wasn't the like? He sit at the images, he's this cool, laid back guy.
He was laid back, all right.
Gosh. Oh man.
Like so when that came out, I was like, Quincy is like that. I was like, wow. Now I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was like, wow, man. So my grandfather, he is a blues singer, which is his name is the late great Eddie Kirkland. And he knew all of these guys, the Quincy Jones, the Ray Charles, the Little Richard. He has been in their presence. He has been roommates with some of them. He has traveled with some of them, performed with some of them, and everybody understand like about Little Richard, right? He used to be his roommate.
Oh gosh.
And so if you go back and I think what is it? I think it's the Ray Charles story.
Right.
I think there's a scene with young Quincy when they're in Seattle. And if everybody remember, there's a part of the movie, it kind of tells you in secret code about Quincy. I don't know, you got to go back and look at it and everything. So early on, Quincy was
I'm just gonna say I got a little bit of the shock factor because I just found this out like what they say a few seconds ago or whatever.
So you're like, wow,
this is still like mind blowing to me.
So I'll say this to state. Back then, I think there were more individual men that were honestly like that. But it was so taboo.
Of course.
That they didn't, come out. Well, they had to portray the manly image and stuff.
Dude, I can tell you right now, and I don't want to sound like that person who's sometimes when people are Caucasian and they're like, well, I have a black friend. Well, I don't want to sound like that guy who's like, well, I got a gay friend. But what I'll say is not to be that token, but I will say, just from personal experience, like my uncle, my Uncle Terrence, he was one of the closest uncles that I was close with. He was just cool, down to earth, always approachable, but he was full on gay. And the thing is, we didn't know, he hid it for a long.
You didn't know.
No, yeah, a lot of us didn't know. We
couldn't tell nothing.
No, but telltales start coming out as we got older. Well, I got older.
As you got older, probably more.
And then I got more aware, and then he started, being a little more comfortable. Thing is, I never stopped loving him, but I just didn't agree with his lifestyle. You know what I mean? But to stay with what you're saying is that he did, because my grandfather was a pastor.
Okay.
So there was this strong aversion to actually, just being like, hey, this is who I am. Like he joined the Navy so I'm sorry.
He went on the ships.
I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all.
Those ship stories.
So he joined the Navy. He left for a while, and but when he came, he actually came back home because my grandfather got sick, and so
they got close quarters too up in the ships.
I'm trying not to. We are old soldiers, so you have to kind of forgive our antics sometimes. But no disrespect to the Navy. But anyway, the whole thing was that he came back home, and then he got himself discharged because they wrote a letter to the Navy like that they let him go. So he could take care of my grandfather. But
that's why he got discharged.
Yeah, that was exactly why he got discharged. There was a rule back then you could do that.
Okay.
So he came home, but the whole thing was that he was really closed off, and even to the things he would take me and go places around girlfriends who were just friend girls, but to try and make me think,
we talked about that because we actually worked with somebody.
Right.
It wasn't a real girlfriend. It was a disguise.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the thing. So I guess, and this was a time. This is in the 90s, and people were still doing that. So personally, just what we're just kind of saying, because you brought it up how with Quincy Jones, and that there was an error. I think that while I won't agree to it, I will say that to have somebody where they gotta live, a certain kind of way with a mask on to hide it. That is, that is unfortunate. Because the thing is that regardless of their sexual preference, people are humans, and they're still.
Everybody deserves to be free.
Yeah.
And be able to be themselves. I do agree with that. I may not agree as far as with the people's sexuality and everything, because they don't live in my house. I don't. That's stupid. I'm just being honest.
Right.
But I would still not ever, and I always said it, ever discriminate against those individuals. Never. That's not me. Right. But I think everybody has a right to be able to be free in a sense to be happy. Because that type of feeling to live like that. Think about it. For you to live hiding who you, I guess, naturally, are.
Yeah, right.
That could be a terrible experience. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine walking around here. Everything you do, you have to be careful on how you interact, what you say, what you do, where you go.
Yeah.
All for the sake of trying to hide your true self-identity and what you feel.
Yeah, it all creates a falsehood. And sorry, I think I don't want to, get too far off what you were talking about with Quincy and the gatekeepers, but it's just kind of I do feel like that's an important thing to kind of hit on because that is in Black culture there is that tendency to act like it just don't exist. It's taboo still, and at a certain point it's got to kind of be like, well, not advocating, but it's a thing. You know what I mean? It's there. So it's kind of like, why create a false narrative between peoples when it's like, listen, if that's who you are, then be who you are, and let's have a conversation about it, which is a whole other topic. So but we might have to talk about that that's another time. But with Quincy Jones, you were saying like, so that's the gatekeeper.
Yeah, he's the gatekeeper of in entertainment in that realm of music. So if you want to be put on as far as record deals, money wise, and everything, what I found out is Oprah and Quincy have some type of a close relationship, and she is bringing individuals to him, and with knowingly, and this is allegedly knowing that the things that he does, you know what I'm saying, which is it's crazy because Oprah is considered a gatekeeper, as I heard.
She is. Think about it. If a book comes out and that all it takes is that little Oprah book sticker, that little sticker on those books, that book is going to move through every major publisher not publisher, but distributor of books out there, from Barnes and Noble to Target, Amazon, you name it. It's going to hit their shelf.
Well, and then on the other end, if she gives the thumbs down on it,
you're not going anywhere.
Oh, Oprah said, nope, that is not it. You can imagine, like,
it would have been better off you not even presenting her nothing, so she could give it the thumbs down.
Yeah, you might go into a different route of, I guess, publishing or getting your book out there. I see the smoke coming out of your coffee, man.
Well, you remember this is you got the heated joint.
The heated joint. I'm like, man, I need to get one of those. But yeah, so as I found out, just reading through the headlines and everything, I guess Oprah is one of the gatekeepers in the entertainment world of things. And in the last couple of years, man, a lot of times, every time I read things about Oprah, man, they seem to be not always good. And she's supposed to be, I guess, the woman especially for women, and a woman of the community, the black community, and stuff like that. But it seems like other blacks are not saying that about her. It seems that they're saying the opposite. Because now she's at a certain place within her career and her life. Now she is directing on who can become what, when, how, where, and it's crazy to me. Which I never thought that's who she was. I thought she was supposed to be
do we want to open that up real quick? Or
go ahead, man.
Look, man, and we talked about this earlier when we talked about the TD Jakes thing. Look, us as a people, the black community, the Black American community, we have not had a lot of people in power and influence. So when we do, regardless of what they do, we will support them regardless of any nefarious things that may be going on. I mean, look at Michael Jordan. We thought everybody wanted to be like Mike. Heck, I still wear Jordan shoes. And everyone wanted to be like Mike. We thought he was the moral compass. I want to be like Mike. Had him on TV with Bugs Bunny, Michael Jackson, and you're thinking this is just this wholesome guy. And now we know that was just PR. It was a lie. Gamble, womanizer, you name it. And that's not to slander him. And that's what, as a community, that's how it's taken. Is like, you're just talking bad. You shouldn't talk blaspheme.
But you know what though? In the same token, right? And this is
I know where you go. I know where you're
going to go. They talk so highly of Jordan like he's this, right? But we don't know what goes on in a man's life behind the closed doors. But then you have LeBron, man, he's with his wife, 3 kids.
Oh no, you went different.
Like he.
But we don't support him.
But we don't talk about, man, I want to be like LeBron. It's like
he actually gets a lot more hate.
he gets more hate than Jordan. The man gambled like I don't understand it. But go ahead, man.
No. I kind of want to hit this subject a little bit. You know who one of my heroes is, and he don't get a lot of. I have to Google this because sometimes I forget his name. Right. He doesn't get the
credit that
that this man deserves. A lot of people don't even know his name, LeVar Burton.
Oh, LeVar. Yeah.
Who is he, you may ask? Well, he just so happens to be the guy who founded the Reading Rainbow. This guy is extremely educated.
That's Kunta.
Who?
That's Kunta.
Yeah, he was. So
Kunta Kinte.
He was Kunta. But I mean, this man is such a big philanthropist when it comes to like giving money to like educational programs, literacy, education. No, you don't hear nobody talking about this guy. But he's the epitome of
that stuff is not controversial. That stuff is not sexy to
it's not appealing to so you know that's just something but that's just to kind of add another layer to what you're talking about, like why we don't support these guys. But with all that being said, you know, we want to support people so bad that, you know, sometimes I think that we don't want to just admit that there were, you know, maybe they had some flaws or something, you know, and that in turn creates its own problems in and of itself.
Y'all tap that.
Yeah, it definitely creates a lot of problems in and of itself. But I kind of want to throw one more out.
Go ahead, man, throw it out there.
So with all that being said, you talking about the gatekeepers and stuff like that. Now this just leaves the realm of color and everything, whether it's black, white, or whatever. And it kind of goes back into our established society. I think it's hard for people to kind of want to admit that there's such thing as gatekeeping going on in these industries, and there's people
even in the industry.
Yeah, well,
everywhere, every
realm of influence that there's.
I'm gonna say it, bro. There are gatekeepers in the military.
Oh yes. Oh man, we could go on that one all day. There are gatekeepers in the military, and if you don't fit in this circle or that pocket, you're not getting promoted. You're not getting this training that you need. You're not getting any of that stuff, and it doesn't have anything to do with this. This moves past racism. It is what you want to connect to, and if you don't connect to the right, you know, things,
you are not. Since you're not willing to do these things that we need you to do, then you don't fit in to this circle here.
Nope.
And therefore, we're going to go ahead and
we'll pick this guy.
We're going to keep you over there. We're going to keep you over there.
Yeah.
All right. And that, I ain't gonna lie, I've dealt with it.
We all did.
I'm quite sure he's dealt with it. But that's for a whole other day, man. Continue on what you were saying.
Yeah, the military aspect is for a whole other day. But I think there's a part of there's subconsciously we don't want to admit that our society is that frail, and it's kind of leaning on, you know, the fact that we got these people in our societies that are actually, you know, controlling things. It's kind of like the Matrix, if you will. You know, if my reference goes over everybody's head, I'm sorry, but you know, if you're not familiar with the film The Matrix, but I just to hit it, it's like saying, you know, ignorance is bliss. One of the characters said he would rather stay in this movie. It was about a computer-generated dream world that people lived in, and outside of that, they were plugged in, stayed asleep. And so when you got unplugged, you woke up and you were in the real world. One of the characters, he had been unplugged for a while, and he started hating it because he realized it was hard. And then he was like,
real world.
Yeah, he was like, plug me back into the system. I would rather live in this computer-generated dream world than face what reality had. And so, yeah, so I mean, it just kind of sometimes I think that it's hard to kind of admit that there are things controlling, and it does drive how we pick our leaders. Because it's like, if I pick this guy, you know what I mean, like, then it'll sustain this part of society that I like. And it goes back to sustaining
that part of society that you're comfortable with. You know, we all are in that way. Certain people are where they're like, I don't want change. I don't want to see that. You know, I'm not used to that. You know, why are they getting the same? These type of people now getting the same privileges as me, and I don't even think it's privileges are the same rights as me. Or I lived in a world for so long that it wasn't like this, and now they also can be in tune or ingrained in the things that I'm able to do and get and everything. So a lot of people don't want to. They don't want to accept change.
No,
they do not want to accept change. So therefore, what it is and what's going on in the political realm is, I think that's what it is. It's a fight against the change in the old way.
So some of y'all might be like, what the heck are these fools talking about? Let me give you an example. Talking about change, talking about gatekeepers, talking about people who want to remain in control, right? So ask yourself this. I mean, some of y'all probably already have. Why is it that when it comes to health, that, I mean, and really just think about it. Don't just, if you will, why is it that I can go out and go to, I don't know, IGA Foods, if anybody on the East Coast knows what that is, that's one of your lower budget grocery stores. I can go to IGA and get like a year's worth of groceries for like $200 or something like that. And this stuff is all unhealthy for me, right? Versus, but if I want to start living healthy, why is it when I go to Whole Foods, man, I'm dropping like $15 for some like raw real honey or all this organically grown stuff, and it's like I'm dropping like I don't know, $8 for a bottle of kombucha. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. So believe it or not, as much as I love Whole Foods, they're a gatekeeper. So is our low budget McDonald's and stuff like that, right?
Well, and to answer your question, the reason why is that food that's in IGA, Quality Seeds, it is cheaper, and it's put in those type of stores are put in the areas of the low income families.
Look at that. Now, no, that's the perfect turning point. So now where do we go? Here's where I start saying, like, we got like to unplug. I hope y'all not thinking I hope nobody put a 10-4 hat on us for the little emoji. But what I'm saying is that so there are people right now in the areas where they have like HUD, what is that, urban housing, urban development or whatever, and what they're doing, they're getting with the local lawmakers or whatever, and for the local governments there, and they're setting up and right there in the hood, will grow centers where they're just like they're creating fields and they're growing healthy foods right there in the middle of the hood, and they're giving it to people like to say, hey, why? So it can endorse healthy, clean eating living for people who don't have a lot of money.
And you guys don't understand, America is, I believe, is the most obese country in the world.
It is.
Also, in the African American community, we have what? Hypertension,
diabetes,
high blood pressure,
high cholesterol.
And the reason that is because, therefore, we cannot afford the foods that are healthy for us because they're more expensive. So people that are in these communities, they're going to do what they can to survive and eat and feed their families, and that is purchase the food that is cheaper and which is unhealthy. So until we are able to maybe lower the prices on certain foods and make these healthy foods available to put them in these certain communities, guess what? We are still going to have these health issues. We're still going to have obesity. We're still going to have hypertension and heart disease, and you're going to see it within the community. I'm telling you, it's true fact, it's real talk and everything, and that's what we're doing right now.
Very real talk, man. I mean, I won't beat the horse no more, but that's just one example of what we're talking about when we're saying you got like that. We were hitting gatekeepers in the entertainment industry just to start it off, but this is a much bigger picture to that. We just want to give some real examples of what that even means and looks like. And I mean, and that's where the change is hard.
Yeah, change is hard.
Change is hard. Like even me,
change is hard because it affects so many people, right? It affects the people that do not want change, that are used to the certain things because they're comfortable. It affects the people that that's in the positions of power and that makes the money. Because you're telling me that if I got to change, I may have to change this. I may have to lose money. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the areas that I am putting my businesses in to be able to make that money. That's why you see so many dollar stores within certain areas. Dollar General are popping up in what areas? The low income areas.
And in the country.
In the country, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What people don't know. I mean, I grew up in the country, so I can be like, yes, I get that.
And I'm just being honest, man. Drive around, as you get older, you get to our age, you start to see things in a different way. And you're like, oh, there go another one. So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. So when I just recently been back home about a month ago, right? And I remember when I think of Detroit, I can remember, especially being little, is every corner in every neighborhood, there's a store on the corner that says liquor, and lotto in the Black communities. And guess what we do? My grandmother live on the east side of Detroit, still go play the lotto.
Yeah,
she's been playing the lotto since I was like this. And go in there, and you'll see them. If you ever go into a certain area, neighborhood, stop off at a gas station, you see like everybody uncle with the overalls, and he coming in, he's getting a whole bunch of lotto tickets, hoping to win the lotto. And the chance, we already know the chances are slim. And he got that. Then he get that liquor, he get that brown bag with that Michelob and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Michelob or Miller Lite.
The Miller Lite. The big cake, and it's like that.
Like this tall, man. That's how my uncle died.
Oh my goodness.
He drunk a six pack of Old Milwaukee every night. Listen, didn't skip a night. Yeah, Old Milwaukee.
Like it was water.
Like it was water, bro. He drunk it every night. That was his favorite stop. And he died at like 50. 50 or 54. Yeah, young for the most part.
Man, how old are we?
That's what I'm saying. You know, like, hey. So
50 is not old.
50 is not old. Don't think that.
50 is not old, man.
It's not.
Oh my goodness, man. But hey, let's go ahead and move on, man. We had beat a dead horse, man. That was a good topic, man. With current events. Oh man, the next thing, man, is today's shout outs. Today's shout outs goes to our teachers. Teachers within the United States and all over the world. I was thinking about this last night, just thinking about and with my 6-year-old daughter and her teachers and everything. I ain't gonna even lie, man. At one point, I thought that I could retire and integrate myself into the world of education and in the school system and be a teacher. Now I was like, nah. and I like educating and communicating with young people and developing, but that wasn't the circle, the rim I needed to be in. So I want to shout out and give you guys, teachers of all over, their props. What you guys do does not go unnoticed. I want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. Continue to teach, continue to make a lasting impression on these young people, from young to old. And what you do, your job is very valuable to society and to the community. Because without y'all, we wouldn't know how to read, we wouldn't know how to write, we wouldn't know how to find who we are and our purpose and our pathway and our direction in our lives, especially after we graduate high school. I can remember a teacher. Most of my teachers in high school that had a lasting impression on me. Miss Blumenfield.
You always remember the
Coach. Coach Smith. They never gave up on me, man. I wasn't like the perfect honor roll A student. I was pretty much up and down, and I didn't really find my way until strong in my junior year when I was like, wow, I'm smart. And I wasn't strong in every area, but I had those teachers that really, Mr. Puzey, and he was my basketball coach also, but his name was spelled Puzey.
Wait a minute, I just thought that. It is. I mean, I can only imagine how much of 15 and 16-year-olds.
But you know what, man? He was one of my best supporters, teachers, and even when I was going through my rough patches in high school, man, I was a little hot. I was a little hot.
Yeah.
You know, and he was the one that could calm me down. He believed in me, and I remember he had this little thick mustache, like like what was that show? The McCormick.
Hardcastle and McCormick.
Yeah,
yeah.
He had this thick mustache, and he was like a little short guy, and everything. He thought it was cool. He thought it was cool. But when I look back, he thought it was cool. And a big up to him and everything. He really had a lasting impression to my life. And Miss Blumenfield, man, she was a teacher that had her parents. She was a Jew, and she was the first teacher that really opened up my eyes to Black History Month. I remember I came in February, and it was Black History Month, and then in the classrooms that teachers have, they have these bulletin boards, and she had this bulletin board of Black leaders and Black people that was very had big influence in the world. That's when I found out a Black person did the first heart surgery, and Black person created the stoplight and all that stuff, and I was amazed because they didn't tell us this earlier. Maybe I just didn't pay attention.
It could be.
Yeah. So, and she set me down, and she basically said, "Yes, this is what your people have done." And she also shared with me and talked with me about the Jewish people, World War II, the Holocaust. So I had so much appreciation for her and the history and what she gave me and how much she believed in me. Because sometimes I was struggling, and she was like, "You can do this."
Wow.
And I graduated. I ain't gonna lie, she was a big factor. So teachers out there, I appreciate you, each and every one of you, and I see what you do.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, it's true. Like the teachers are so impactful, bro. Like, I mean, right off the top, I can think of every one of them that impacted me. Yeah, for life. Like, for one, the first one, the most impactful teacher that I had, and I'll start from impactful first and then inspiring second. But the most impactful teacher that I had was Wendy Popescu. Okay. She was from Michigan. She came down to Texas and became a school teacher. Her husband was an actor. So that lets you know how we knew her. Like she was like that type. Even after we graduated, she invites me over for coffee or just chill. Yeah. Like once I joined the military, every time I came home, I hit straight to her. Went straight to her office or her classroom. But anyway, if it wasn't for her, I literally would not have graduated high school. I would not. I had I had my own issues, and I was a senior, and I just kept failing math, and I had 4 math classes my senior year. So while everybody else was out chilling with like one class, here I was pretty much with a full load as a senior. And if it wasn't for her believing in me, like I didn't even know if I was going to graduate. So Wendy Popescu, if somehow you were listening, like, love you, and like she was just so down there. She met you where you were at, and you felt like she was talking to you as an adult. Right. And so
teachers like that made you feel worth something, made you feel important.
She made me feel very important, and I'll never forget that. Now the most inspiring teachers that I had, there's a lot of them actually. Miss Barbara Mackey, Miss Julie Lowry, they were my English, but also theater arts teachers. Okay. And they got me into acting, and that's honestly one of was a big thing for me at that time. We were advancing, going to the playoffs of one act play is what they call it. As you compete in acting. So though they were just always like, they could find ways. Just when I thought I like maybe peaked in my acting, they were finding ways to just make me think like, wow, I could do this. And then of course, probably I should have mentioned her first, Miss Alice Rooks. Okay. She was my art teacher. She's the one who made. That's where everything started with me. Before music, before poetry, before all that, it was art. Drawing, and she was my biggest fan. Wow. She loved my art. She just.
Let me ask you, like, when she first started to really support you and telling you how great you were, I mean, it was like, I know you doubted it. Like,
I did, because I just thought I was just a kid that liked to doodle, And then next thing I know, she's getting exposing me to all these different mediums, charcoal, paint, using different canvases. As a matter of fact, I'll show it to you after this. She actually got on CBS on the news in our little country school. She got on the news because we were the first school to use. We didn't have a lot of resources because all the money went to football. So Texas. So that's just how it is. So we didn't have money for canvases, so we started using the ceiling tiles as that were in the and we would paint on them and then put them back in there. It was. So then I don't know how these people, the news found out about it, but they thought that was so unique that CBS came down and did a whole segment on it.
Oh, awesome.
And so she was anyway, that was inspiring. You know what I mean? So it's just know your worth. I hate it because teachers don't get paid nearly enough.
They don't.
Not
of course, we all know teachers are very underpaid.
There's
jobs out here that they shouldn't get paid more than teachers.
No.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
What a teacher does, if you really think about it, the time that they have our children, the amount of time over the course of a year, and from all ages, all grades, they, basically parents are sending their kids to school and entrusting teachers to educate them, to teach them basically about everything. Be a mentor, a counselor, a motivator for them, and an example for them. And then some parents are not even doing that at home.
Right.
So they're hoping that that's what they don't give to their children, that the teachers give.
Yeah.
Some teachers are like mothers to these kids or fathers to these kids, or big brothers or uncles, however which way you want to put it. So teachers are very important in the community. Teachers are very important in our society that we live in, and we need to pay more attention to them, give them more respect, notoriety, and let them know that we are thankful and we value each and every one of them. And so shout out to the teachers for the day, and I'll let you know that, hey, Real Talk with MRK, we do notice you. Let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and move on, man. We actually are talking today. That's what we're talking today.
It's yeah, man.
And it's okay if we go over a little bit. Man, we're going to get to the hot topic of today. All right. The hot topic of the day is how can men become better as fathers and husbands? So, men, if you're listening out there, all right, we're talking to you. And ladies, if you have a man that is not maybe stepping up to the plate, they're falling short, hey, take whatever we talk about, and I hope you take that back to them, and it assists with them being better men and better fathers. And then this is for us too, so we're not perfect. I'm not perfect and everything. So how can men become better as fathers and husbands? You want to start it off?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Man, say what you feel. Say,
how can we become better when you said fathers and
men?
Oh,
so because fathers and husbands.
Fathers and husbands, man.
And ultimately a better man.
Wow.
It's deep, right?
I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that, because it's like
it captures so much.
That captures a lot. Like if you had just said fathers, okay, that's one thing, but fathers and husbands, man.
Because this is the reason why I connected the two, because in the real perfect world, we want fathers to be there with their mothers also, and then also be wife and husband. So I just don't want to leave out, because I believe it connects. It goes hand in hand. I really do. I know the society we live in, there's a lot of single mothers out there, and the father's not there. But I want to connect the two. I want to connect that it is important to be a father. And then if you're a father in a home with the mother, it's not only that you be a good father. If you are a good husband, guess what happens? You are setting an example for your daughters and your sons, for them to see what a good man ultimately is in an entirety. As a father and as a husband, it coincides with one another. What I do for my wife, my son is looking at, or we could say girlfriend or fiance, and they are watching. I think kids learn more by watching than by you saying, doing. I had to learn that through conversations with my kids that are older. Well, and I'm thinking that by me talking, I'm teaching. The teaching comes through the examples that we have set through our actions, because they sit back in the backfold and they watch every little thing that you do. And I bring this up because my girlfriend now, and we've been dating for over, man, it's been over a year. It's almost going on to a year and a half.
Wow.
Right. And I'm gonna be honest, he's known me for a while through my marriages and my mishaps of relationships, and it's probably been the most peaceful relationship I've had in a while, in a long, probably ever. I'm gonna say ever. So I'm happy within the relationship and where it's going. She said to me, it was one date, one of our first dates, that I picked her up from her home, and her son was looking out the window. And I guess I said, you know, when she got back the next day, I said, well, you know, what did he say? You know, she was like, and when she got home, she asked him, she was like, Mom, I coached him. She was like, does Coach open the door for you all the time? Does he do that all the time? And she told him, she was like, yes, he does it all the time without fail.
Mm.
So the little thing of me opening the door for my girlfriend, for that young man, because he consistently never really seen that, you know what I'm saying, was eye-opening to me and everything. And so which tells me that a lot of men and a lot of fathers are not doing those things. How they treat their woman and how they treat and raise their kids is very important. So how can we become better as fathers and husbands? I believe it's through the example that we set, good examples, and through our actions, ensuring that we protect, we provide, we love, we care, and we direct. You know what I'm saying? I think as men, that's what we are. We set the direction and the course for our families. And some people would say, well, I may be a hypocrite because of my past history in my marriages.
Nah.
But I would say this. I've always told my son he's never seen me treat my wives or my relationship bad. I never disrespected them. And I'm not talking about, you know, we get in arguments and stuff like that, but I've always cared and showed love for them in a way to treat them as if, you know, they're my queen. And I tried to do my best in that. So I believe in our actions, and us doing better in that way, we can be better fathers and better husbands, and also ultimately overall being a better man. So it's just through our examples.
Mm.
So what's your take on that, James?
Man, I mean, obviously you seem a bit quiet, but I want to respond with like, well, no bull crap. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I want to be real. And so what I'll say is this, just to kind of set the tone for both. Albert Einstein once said, and that's to quote him, is that the true measure of intelligence is based on a person's ability to change. So what does that mean? Yeah,
Hey, repeat that again for them, man.
Good.
And this is for everybody.
This is actually for everybody.
Measure of someone's intelligence is based on their willingness to change.
That's Albert Einstein, people.
And what is it to me? Well, in everybody, there's a lot of people that won't change.
And so, as a man, here's one of the things. I've been married 20 years now. Faithfully to the same woman. Love you, because I know she's watching. And the whole thing with that is that when you're married, you're not in a stagnant environment. You're in an ever-changing environment where your wife, you're growing together with her. So she's changing and she's going through different things and processing things and coming to different new conclusions and having new reactions and actions. And then you got children, and they're ever-changing. And they're doing different things, and they're learning, and they're coming into who they are as a person. And there you are, the man who's supposed to be the head of the home, the base, the anchor. And so, to go back to my quote, to be a better man is to be pliable, meaning to be able to have a personality and a mind that can shift and change to different directions. Because I mean, like you're gonna have your moments where you just completely lose it, and you're gonna have. I mean, just being real. Like I mean, we human. It just happened to me not too long ago. Like it's just like because you're with all these people and you start developing expectations of these people that you live with,
right?
And they don't meet those. Expectations. So then you have a atom bomb moment, and then it's like. Then you got to come back to the drawing board and remember that you are living with organic, moving human people that are individuals, all of them. You. Yep, and they're different from you. So as a good husband and a good father, you got to be pliable because you're going to have to be able to adapt to their changes and honestly and facilitate those changes, which is hard because they want things. Not just they have their own set of expectations of you, and it's like how do I meet those? Because it's like it feels like it's almost like you got these big lists of demands over you, but as to being a good man, you adapt to those set of requests of you because if you can't, it's just gonna be this the whole time, and it's like if anybody. Just based off of my experience, and anybody in that house is going to be the piece that facilitates this sort of growth and change. The driver of the bus, it's got to be the husband's ability to constantly go to each situation and learn how to meet those situations different. Because when I was growing up, we were raised off of what do they call our parents' generation? Because we're X, I think. No, we're Z. No. Wait. Help me out. Gen Zers are what they call
Gen Zers.
Yeah, like
talking about ours.
What's our generation?
I thought we were X.
No, yeah, you're right. We're Gen X, and our parents were, I don't know, whatever. I always get called.
They're not baby boomers.
I thought it maybe
it might be right after the baby. I think it might be. No, they're not baby boomers.
They're not.
They're baby boomers
were like World War II or whatever. But nonetheless, we were raised from a generation of, let's just face it, it was just one way. And that's my way is the highway parents. And connections were not really important as it was. Right. The connection with you was not as important as you doing what the heck they say and what they mean. So that's how we were raised. However, most of us grew up and was like, I don't think that was all right. Like it was like you get older and you start understanding, but you start realizing too, like, I don't think they was all right. So I'm saying that because you have to you've learned from that. And that's another thing. That's the second mark of a good husband is a learned man, meaning you're learning from these experiences. So now you're having to say, okay, how can I take those situations in what I've learned in the past, what I'm seeing from my own children now, and how do I change to try and look for a better outcome
and let them know in learning there's mistakes.
There's tons of mistakes
that are being made.
Dude.
So you're not going to be perfect, even though you're like, I don't want to do this, maybe the things how my parents did them. I didn't agree with everything.
Right.
But you naturally actually do. So in learning and doing,
those things,
you make those mistakes. And you have to learn how to change and navigate through those mistakes.
That's perfect. That's exactly why I brought how we were raised up, because I do have my moments where it's like, look, this is my way, this is how it's going to be. And sometimes I stick with it, but then there's other times I have to look at the situation and say, all right, maybe I should be a little bit more flexible, understanding,
empathetic to their
to their needs or whatever it is.
I'm gonna be honest. I took on the old-fashioned way at a certain point.
Well, let me hit something. While I would say it wasn't all right, there are moments when you do need to do that.
Yes.
And that's just the true thing of it. But it can't always be this domineering, like 100% out of 100% out of every interaction.
Yeah, it can't.
It can't work.
This generation is totally different.
Totally different.
How we were.
we learned with phone books, and everything was manual when we grew up. These kids are very intelligent, and here's the thing: because I said some stuff, they see through that.
Yeah. I did it, man. I like it because I said so.
Right.
I don't need to explain myself. And the reason I did it because I've got it from my parents. They did it to me, and I was like, well, this is the way you raised me, because I turned out pretty good. I think I have a sound right mind.
Right.
And these kids that you are parenting, they want to say so. They want to.
Oh man.
They need to speak and they
need to be heard.
They want to be heard. Hear me. I hear what you're saying, but I still have something to say. That's them.
Right.
And you're like, well, I said what I said. Now do it. And that's it. Stop questioning me. Why are you? But I am the parent, and I got it. If I'm on the other side, I'm like, no, I wouldn't like that too. But when you become a parent, and you're trying to teach and trying to get them to be a certain way and prepare them for the world, you're like, I don't need you to question me because I've lived this life. I've done this. I've been in that position. And I guess being a father, you have to be what's the word? Father.
Mm-hmm.
A father to the village.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in your house.
Yeah.
And you have to be more open for them to come and have conversations, to be able to talk. I'm learning that. My kids are older. I didn't necessarily practice that as they were younger, through the mistakes that I probably made, and
but they still come see you.
Yeah, sometimes they're older now, and what happens is, to be transparent, come to find out, and maybe it won't be with your kids, but maybe you guys' kids, they come back and they was like, well, when you was doing this, and I couldn't talk to you at that time. So sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't know that.
I was gonna say, well, that's why I'm glad you're bringing it up, because really, and I didn't like hearing this phrase for a while, but you really don't ever stop being a parent.
No.
You really don't. And it gets harder. But the thing is that honestly, from what I've learned, and me being kind of looking at everything sort of from a lens of like 360 full circle, as they say, the actual, when they get into adulthood, those early 20s and stuff, that's actually where a lot more development actually takes off, because I love talking to people in their 60s and 70s, and they're telling me about how they interact with their kids. And it's like, for the ones who learned, for the ones who were able to change, they realized, they say, I had to step back. And actually our relationship got better as they got older, because I knew I had to pull back. I had to let them become adults, even if they wasn't acting like adults, and kind of and facilitate a different type of relationship. But I think it started early.
It starts early. I've learned. I probably learned the hard way. All three of my older kids, man, it's been ups and downs, rocky roads, as far as developing a good line of communication. And because I for the most part of their younger and older years, I was a single parent. So I was in the army.
You had a lot of challenges.
I couldn't be, and I told my son this the other day on his birthday.
Coffee.
Yeah. I couldn't be, I guess, maybe the father that I ultimately wanted to be. And I'm not making any excuses, because I didn't have a wife,
but it's
consistently.
It's relevant
consistently all the time. So the only way that I knew as the man was to I guess, to be, maybe you can call it strict, the enforcer, the rules, because I was so scared of two daughters, one son, my son straying off, in the streets, my daughters, promiscuous and becoming pregnant and I didn't want that happening on my watch. And could I went overboard sometime? Absolutely. But I did it in a way because I cared. And it's kind of hard to tell kids that when you're parenting until they become
right. Because at that age, man, at that like 12 to 18, everything is self-focused with
Oh,
them.
and
that's just a real thing.
I used to tell him my son's selfish.
Yeah, well, all of them are.
I was like, why are they so selfish?
And as hard as that is to deal with, you start realizing that they're only focused on one thing. Because I deal with it in my house all the time, me and my wife. And it's hard because you try and, like, I know my biggest flaw is I let things accumulate. And I've
explodes.
And then it's this massive reaction, and now then I go away. I feel guilty. I feel like dirt, and then it's like, and then they're actually gracious with me, and they're like, we're good, and just kind of this, that, and the other. But it's to say that I'm still learning this stuff, but I'm learning like how to manage my own expectations. That's why I say again, pliable to change. How do I manage my own expectations? Because I'm gonna be real with you. I never wanted to admit this, bro. But because the generation we were raised by, we did develop this. Well, I'm gonna do it better, and then we did. we developed this. I'm gonna do it better mindset, and
they sit back, see, huh?
Yeah. And with that being said, you got to go in this. So I'm gonna give them everything that I never got emotionally.
I'm not gonna do that.
I'm not gonna do this way or whatever. Well, it actually kind of fuels that selfishness because now that it's like it's about me. I think that it amplifies it a little bit. And so I've had to pull back and say, you know what, we did such a great job of giving them, whether it was material or attention, that now that it's like trying to steer them in the wagon of thinking selfless.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute.
Now it's like,
it's been about us.
It's been about us all these years.
So what are you talking about? Yeah.
So you have that. So I'm coming to that place now where I'm kind of owning up some responsibility about it. Now, do I think it's all my fault? No. But I would just say that, okay, hey, maybe I had some contributions like that. And that's even as a husband, because my wife will tell you, I know she's in there somewhere, Miss Lucy. She's spoiled. She's very spoiled. And so my wife,
your wife,
you know that. Yeah, she's very spoiled, which I want her to be. But sometimes it's kind of like, all right, now I need you to be unspoiled. and that don't,
turn this off right now.
Like, all right, let's turn this off. Like, hey, get your own chicken. So it is
crazy, man. I went through that with my kids, man, and where it's like I wasn't like that. I wasn't so selfish. I'm like, why are y'all so selfish? It's not always about you. And recently, man, my middle daughter, I was taking her back to college, and I'm gonna be honest, me and her got into it. Oh yeah, me and her got into it. And we got in an argument, and I thought she wasn't listening to me. She's almost 20. She's 19 years old, be 20 in May. And she had some hiccups in her grades, for the first semester.
Oh yeah,
and I was trying to, reiterate some things as I drop off, and like, so you good? And she just seemed like she didn't want to listen to me. And then, she was like, so I got upset. I was like, are you not hearing me? So now what I do is I talk more. You know how that goes and everything. And it's hard because she's going into it. She's in the young adulthood, and you want to give them their space and their own
space and things,
individuality and their own voice. But at the same time, she's still in a place of still in my pockets.
Yeah.
You're on a college for this, but I'm still involved.
Still being provided for.
Yeah, but then it's like, now you're not going to just dismiss me. So now, they get to that point like, well, who are you? And then she says and brings up something that happened years ago. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we talked about this. I said I was sorry. And it was like, so I got mad. Like, well, I was like, well, do you ask for stuff from your enemy and somebody that you don't like? And I was like, why you do this? And it was like, it's supposed to. And I was like, no, you're an adult now. So I got into my feelings because it's about me. It's because, look, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this.
Yeah.
Well, I love you and everything. And that wasn't, it doesn't.
That's that expectation management. That's where I used to get upset, is because it's like, I've done so. We say this. We say the same thing. We say the same thing over. It's like like a broken record for the last, like a 10 to 12, 15-year-old broken record. And we say the same thing. It's like, we have done, when y'all asked us for something, it's like that. When you want to do something, we find a way, and it's like, at a certain point, like, it's almost like you're like saying reciprocation should be kicking in at some point, but it don't. And that's where that expectation has to be. Yeah. I'm telling myself that lately, like, don't expect it. Just continue to do, because I mean, while I'm in that role, yes, but you just have to understand that it hasn't clicked yet. Because I remember when it clicked for me.
I get emotional in that regard.
We all do. We're not alone. Has anybody said something? I'm sure at some point somebody may have understood it's something that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, I'll just hold my mind.
As I say, it should be good. I don't know,
but I mean, I was like, man, it must be me.
No,
is it me? And then I don't like that. I don't like to account. I don't like to do that, because I do things, as you say, because as the loving father, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you have opportunity. I want to make sure that you're on the right path for whatever journey that you're on for. And then like, well, I didn't ask you to do that. I've been told that.
Yeah, you get
like, what?
Yeah.
With me, like, you didn't have to do that for me.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. And then I go into like protection mode.
Yeah.
Like, well, see next time.
we're not alone in this. I think the good part about it is eventually, as they get older, that it will kick in, because it did for us. Yeah. Like, I remember when I started thinking about, I was like, man, especially after I became a parent, then it really changes, because then the light bulb comes on. But this is what they meant, and so it does get better, but it takes time. And I think that's the hardest part, is like, so just being a better husband and father, it's I would throw one last word in there, because I already said, being able to change, being pliable. So I would even say, long suffering, which is actually, for my believers in the house, that's actually, that they'll be like, well, that's a Christian word, but really it just means like, you're in a position where over time you're gonna have some suffering, because like, it's kind of like, not to get too deep, but it's kind of like how God deals with us. We're very hard-headed. We don't do everything the way we're supposed to. We can be prideful, but God still loves us and gives us breath in our lungs to live when we don't deserve it. So it's kind of one of those situations where, as a parent, flawed as we are, we're in that same position to be gracious, to give, to love, though your children,
unconditionally.
Yeah, love in that way, to where it's like, because truth is, your children will hurt you over time. They will, and it's not. I don't even think that they just mean to. It's that they're learning.
They're not mature enough mentally, and
there it is,
to understand
their actions. Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, selfishly, I get like, can't believe you did that to me. All I've done for you.
Yeah.
And then that's when the reaction comes.
And we did the same thing. We really did. The only difference was, instead of what we're trying to connect with them, it was just like, I'm gonna bust your tail. I'm gonna bust your tail. And it's just like, well, dang. But but when I look back, I just sneak out late, hang out,
everything the opposite of what they said.
Do everything the opposite of what they said. And so, but so it's the same thing. You get older though, and you learn. But I'm trying to you try and minimalize conflict as much as possible. But guess what? It's impossible.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. If I ain't learned everything else, and I'd say maybe that's the third measure of a man, is having the ability to come back, or
set your pride aside.
Come back to the situation and say, let's talk about it, because you're gonna have conflict. You know, when that's with wife too.
Wife, yeah.
But it's the same real dynamic. But all right, I mean, hey, we had a little tip this morning. It was just like how we talked about earlier, something stupid, but something real small. But you know what? I give my wife props because she was like, you know what? Let's pray together. We're not gonna start the week off like this.
I like it.
I did. I loved it because I ain't gonna lie. She came to me, and sometimes it's me that does it.
It changes.
It changes, but she came to me.
You look back and you're like, I can't believe we was arguing about that.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was like over some milk or something. Yeah, just dead serious.
Like the eggs.
Yeah, like the eggs. Like the eggs, man.
Oh, man.
But
yeah, we was talking about earlier before we came on live, man. About how when I was married, my ex-wife, she didn't like washing dishes. I was like, and I remember talking to her. The dad was like, and he was like, you don't think it's gonna be a problem? I was like, nah, it's dishes. We'll fix it. It was a problem.
It was a problem.
You like Allen Iverson? We talk about practice. We talk about dishes.
Oh man,
we talk about dishes.
This ain't gonna be no issue. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. So little things like that. You look back on whatever your relationships is with whoever, your children, your husband, your wife, and you look back on the things that you actually argue about.
Insane.
You're like, why? So if you find a way to resolve and how communicate properly in a way of love and to be in a solutional mindset to solve those things, to be able to move forward, I think we all will be better men, fathers, husband, in a totality of things, and be able to lead our families, lead our children and everything. So
absolutely, bro.
We're gonna go ahead and move on, man. We're going overboard, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next thing. It is MRK Music Picks of today. All right, and it goes to Damani. Damani is T.I.'s, I believe it's his second son. He is a hip hop artist, up and coming hip hop artist, man, and his music, man. I enjoy him. I just found out about him about a few months ago. I've been listening to his music, and he is someone that I actually will listen to and support. He's in the line of the circle of I believe J. Cole, and he's very conscious, aware, with great substance, creativity, and definitely aware of what's going on around him and mentally, man. I definitely love his music, so I will need y'all to go ahead and check him out. I don't have his music plugged up into my download on the stream, but next time I definitely will. Check him out. He's on all streaming platforms, man. Damani, man, I'm telling you, he's an up-and-coming artist, man. And so check him out. What you think? Hey, James got a chance to hear him for the first time.
Yeah, so like Martez knows me. Like I don't listen to a lot of, I guess, what you call mainstream or I guess I'll just say my number one mode of hip hop is actually Christian hip hop. However, with that being said, I'll give anybody a chance if they have some substance for the art of it. And yeah, this kid was actually, it was real. He wasn't putting on a front. He wasn't trying to rap about things he wasn't doing. He was very authentic, and I have a real affinity for authenticity. So I actually enjoyed the music because it wasn't filled with a bunch of cussing. It was wholesome, and I hope we get more guys like him to step up. While I know that we're never gonna completely get rid of the drugs and the money rap, which I wish we would, but it's gonna be there. I would like to see more balance to where we have more.
We can't stop.
Yeah, we can't stop people's choices.
The freedom of speech. And the ability to be creative in their own right.
Yep.
We got that. Maybe limited.
I think it really, because right now it's lopsided. That's all you want that's out there.
I ain't gonna lie. I didn't really want to hear it when I was younger, man. I was always, as you see, and we also I'm gonna throw this in here, MRK Music Pick of the Day. Not alone just with a Damani. We're gonna bring back, as you see my shirt, man, it got Tupac on it.
Yeah.
And you see James' shirt.
Wu-Tang Clan,
man. So,
like,
hey, we
conscious lyrics.
Yeah, we showing our age and everything. But hey, I'm telling you, man, we was talking about Tupac, man, where his journey was as far as with music and everything. And Tupac has always been a big influence with me. I was on Tupac before All Eyes on Me, before the Death Row Tupac. So, and I was definitely on Wu-Tang when I was in high school.
Yeah.
You know, Method Man and RZA and Inspector Deck and Old Dirty Bastard and everything. So, hey, if you are young, go ahead and check them out, pull them up, and you know, hey, I hope you enjoy. It might change your mindset as far as hip hop, as far as where hip hop should be at, and what you honestly want to listen to, man. It might be your forte, it might not, but they definitely are lyricists, and they bring a deep, conscious substance.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Our generation, like my son is 18 and he actually loves Tupac. He thinks like, you know, while I fit in I'm in a different space of life now. Yeah. I will say, I just let him know, like, you know, while I don't obviously agree with like a lot of Pac stuff now, it doesn't erase the fact that he stood for something, and that's what was the most like key element. It's just unfortunate that that I think that if he had the chance to live a little bit longer, we would have seen this. Man, I think he could have changed a lot.
You know what? D1, if you don't know, look at that artist too. D1 Music. He talked about, it was an interview on